I find that once you make a choice to heal, once you make a choice to change paths and really become more of who you are, then the universe starts to bring people and opportunities into your path.
Where did your healing journey begin? Or where did you start to notice that you had these gifts?
Well, I think even as a kid, we don't realize it as a kid, but I was very intuitive as a child. And I found that even adults used to come to me for advice, that I would just know things and they would want to hear what I had to say as a kid, right? And so that was kind of the preface. And when my nana died, I was 7 years old and I was sleeping in the living room for some reason on the sofa bed. And the phone rang in the kitchen, which we only had one phone in those days. And before my dad answered that phone, I knew that my nana had died. And so I watched my dad answer, my mom answer, and see, the expression and on her face and her crying. And it's like I already knew that it was Nana. So maybe that was an early example, but there's always been kind of a knowing that I've had.
Was there a pivotal moment in your life that led you to the current path that you are on
I
with your?
love transformation. Yeah, I love transformation. So, I tell when I speak in some places, I talk about my first makeover being on my cat Blackie when I was 4. And I have a picture of that. So being able to transform anything was my love. And so I went from transforming my animals to transforming people. I started first in the fashion industry and then got into the beauty industry as a makeup artist and image consultant back in, quite a long time ago. But I think transformation was in my blood. And the specific things that really impacted my life was that I grew up in the military. We moved 30 times by the time I was 18. My mother did not do well with all of these moves. Plus, my mother had a lot of heartache and things that she had grown up with that she never shared with any of us. And she ended up taking her own life when I was 13. And I had already caught her twice attempting suicide. And I made it my job as a 12-year-old to keep her alive and to make her happy. But no matter what I did, it didn't work. And so, right after my 13th birthday, she actually succeeded in taking her own life. And I felt responsible. I just, and there's still a part of me, even though I know better, that feels responsible to this day. So I carried that with me. And even though at that age I had never experienced depression, I started to have bouts of depression from the age of 13 on. And it wasn't until I was 30 that I was so tired of all of this. I was actually sitting on my couch with my half-written suicide note and making the decision. Am I going to join my mother? Am I going to choose another path? And a little voice came into my ear and said, no, don't do it. And in that instant, I got this sense of hope. So I said, okay, I choose to live, but I also knew I couldn't live with that depression anymore. So I chose to heal from depression. And at that time, which was over 30 years ago, nobody healed from depression. That was like a lifelong sentence. The more you had depression, the more you were going to be stuck with it. So there really was no model for how to heal yourself from, significant depression or what they would call clinical depression. But I was determined. So that was really the beginning of my healing journey. And I find that once you make a choice to heal, once you make a choice to change paths and really become more of who you are, then the universe starts to bring people and opportunities into your path. And that's exactly what happened. There were no accidents. You just have to kind of let that red carpet roll out in front of your steps that you take. So you make a declaration, I want to heal, I want to heal from depression, and then all of a sudden, boom, Reiki showed up. I had 2 significant spiritual teachers, and they both helped me to understand energy in a way that I had never understood it before. And really, we think we think about energy as like drinking coffee to get that kind of kick of energy. No, energy is within you. It's your essence, it's your spirit, your soul. And when that gets broken, that's when you don't have access to all the things that are wonderful within you to go out and be yourself and do what you're meant to do. So I learned that I had to heal my spirit. I was broken. Once I healed my spirit, things started to happen. I started to intuit more. I started to get these ideas. And it's like, wow, my whole creativity opened up and allowed me to create so many wonderful things, that helped me, that help others now. And, so that was really the beginning.